6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, I am so ready for this show. I mean, we got ugliness to talk about in terms of our season, but we got two wonderful people. I've got my co-host Dan Devlin from California and Davy Craig from Hebburn, right there outside of Newcastle. Two of my favorite people in the world and my Newcastle brothers. So let's get on with it. Here comes my co-host. Welcome, Dan.
I was just trying to see if StreamYard was going to give me the explosions again.
That's right.
But
I don't know how that works.
I don't either.
It's sporadic with us.
Yep.
Hey, we're just going to add our good friend Davy Craig right to the mix because the three of us can talk all day and might as well get started.
Hi.
Yes.
All right.
Davy.
Am I supposed to do a Kermit the Frog as well?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Hey, so good to see you guys.
I was just trying to see if there was some kind of explosion or something, because periodically in our last 4 shows, I'll give a thumbs up or something, and all of a sudden we'll get a little bubble, or I'll smile, and all of a sudden everything explodes behind me in some kind of fireworks show. We're still trying to figure it all out. So
we're rookies here. Hey, guys, whenever I put this nice, handsome jacket on, I think of both of you guys because Davy has one of these, and I saw it once when he was on Tyneside, and I was like, boy, that's a nice jacket. And then what do you know? Dan and Tara buy me this jacket. So,
I meant to put it on, but to be perfectly honest, I'm comfortable where I am.
Yeah.
I couldn't be asked to go upstairs and get it.
No.
Can't blame you there.
Yeah.
Stay right there, and we really appreciate you joining us because it's kind of late there.
Yeah.
So
it's not too bad. It's all right. Yeah.
Got a few things to talk about today. I was thinking, how about the season so far? Number 2, injuries. Number 3, pressure on Eddie, yes or no? Number 4, change from the 4-3-3 setup that we, recently did. Is that a thing from now on, or are we going to change based on who we're playing? Like to hear your comments on that. And then finally, our trip to Tyneside. Dan and I will be joining you there for the next 2 matches, and we look forward to that. So let's get started with, first off, I'm getting better at this. Hit the subscribe button and you can follow us from now on. And we love having followers. Really appreciate you guys. And if you want, sign up for a membership at 99p. That'll give you even more benefits.
Thank you to Drew Black and White Eyes for hosting us.
Yes, thank you very much, Baz and the whole crew. We really appreciate it. And we also thank our sponsor, Dire Crow Shirts. They've got some fantastic shirts. Dan and I both have the one on the right. We'll be getting more. And by the way, if you use the code BAZ20, you get 20% off on your purchase. So go ahead and do that. All right, let's start with this, Davey. I want to hear, what do you think about the season so far?
Well, I wrote about how I thought it might go before the season started. And I didn't think it was going to be plain sailing. I didn't think it was going to be easy. I thought we might struggle to get into the top 4. A number of factors being the size of the squad. It's early days. We're still early into the whole project. I think we kind of did much better than we expected last season. So the expectation. You see, I've never had an expectation. I've been going to St. James's Park since I was 6, and I followed Newcastle for as long as I can remember. And I was asked the other day, there was a guy, I was in the local swimming pool, and I was heading towards the steam room and that's kind of, that's where we have a good chat about stuff. And this guy, mate of mine, said, we lost at the weekend, another trophyless season, you must be absolutely gutted. And I said, well, yeah, I'm disappointed. It would be great to win a trophy, but it's not why I support Newcastle. It's not the reason why I support Newcastle United, and I don't have that expectation. And it's just as well because we've won absolutely sod all since I started supporting. We actually won the Fairs Cup when I was 3 weeks old. So my mates called me a glory hunter for that reason. But because we have won a trophy in my lifetime, but I can't remember it.
Yeah.
But
hey, Davy. There's a comment for you.
Oh, well, that's another thing. Yesterday, I was talking to a guy. I was sitting in a jacuzzi at the pool, and this guy was talking about football with a few of us, and talking about Newcastle. And he says, "You're a Newcastle supporter." I was like, "Oh yeah, oh great." And I looked at him, and he was talking about football, and he mentioned the movie We Are the Geordies, and I kind of looked at him and I thought, hang on, are you talking about the same film? Because some people get mixed up with the Amazon thing with the players and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And I said, you mean the movie for the championship season? Oh, yeah, I love it. Great film. And I looked at him and, are you sure you've seen it? Oh, yeah. And he says, why? I says, because I'm in it. I'm one of the main ones in it. And he said, are you?
Yeah.
It's the first time I've not been recognized. The first time I was so deflated. I thought, I'm looking for the guy's white stick and that, but yeah, it was that was bizarre. But yeah, it's about to
so
happen.
Davey, it sounds like you were more you were ahead of us. A lot of people, I don't know, myself, Dan, I'm sure you can comment on this. We totally expected to be top 6 right from the beginning of the year. And maybe, I mean, I did. I was completely blown away by seeing them in August or July when they had the summer series.
Yeah.
And then to watch that first game against Aston Villa, and we just pounded them, and everything was clicking. Yeah. And my expectations just went way up, and I was like, "Oh, we're going to be top 6. Look at this squad." So,
yeah.
So it's very interesting. Your perception, very interesting.
Well, the way that I thought about it, there was a number of factors that I've just mentioned there. But I looked at the other teams and I thought, Man City, Liverpool, they are going to be up there regardless,
Yeah.
And then I thought, Man United will probably end up in the top 6. I wasn't sure whether I didn't think they were going to be top 4. I looked at Tottenham and their signings, and I thought Tottenham were going to do really well. And I actually thought that Chelsea would do better than they have done. But everybody's saying about Aston Villa. Now, I have a small bet with my friends, and it's like a season-long kind of thing where you pick a side that you have like a handicap on the bet. So it's not who finishes top. You like, for example, you get 0 points start on Man City, and you might get -1 or something on Liverpool or whatever. So you get like 20 points extra for Aston Villa, is like a handicap. But I picked Aston Villa as my team to do really, really well this season because of the way that they've been playing and some of the signings that they made. And even though they didn't do that well against us pre-season, I didn't really want to take that as a proper gauge. Pre-season's pre-season, and you cannot really judge. But I still had them. I went ahead and still picked them as my kind of bet to do really well. Obviously, I wanted us to do better than them. I just thought that they were the dark horse that were going to come through. And so even finishing the top 6 was going to be difficult because of those factors. And then the way that things have gone, we lost Tonali straight away.
Oh, yeah.
And then we started getting loads and loads of injuries, so that ties into what you were talking about. And it has affected with, people say, oh, well, the professionals, even if they play, some teams play with 12, 13 players the whole season. But we're playing with kids. We're playing with likes of Miley, who, he came in, he would never have been expected to start any games this season.
Agreed.
And there's no way that his fitness levels are going to be up there to be able to sustain that, which is why the first opportunity he's had, he's kind of dropped him out. He hasn't pulled him out because he's not good enough. He's pulled him out because he's basically looking after him.
Yeah.
For, in the long term. But yeah, I mean, do you want me to just keep going? Because I'm talking and you guys aren't saying anything.
No. I was gonna give Dan a shot because each one of us can go on, and that's fine.
Oh,
Davey. That's fine.
Yeah. Till 3 in the morning.
It's a beloved subject, so I mean,
Yeah.
I'm right up there with Davey. John, I said this to you when we were watching him in the summer series. I said, they look a little ring rusty. They, while we saw good performances from players like Elliot Anderson and Miley, and even there was some good stuff in New Jersey from young Ben Parkinson. I mean, we saw good work, but at the same time, the guys that did ever so well last season to get us into 4th, they were looking a little not dodgy, but I mean, they looked like they had lead in their legs, but again, I was saying this is July, this is early days.
Yeah.
And, on top of that, you got guys that are getting on a plane and flying 700, 800 miles like this, that could take out a lot of on you as well. So I did not have, let's just say I did not have the expectations that we would be top 6. I remember, the Keegan and Dalglish days when we made it to the Champions League and we sputtered, in the following season, only because, the number of games again.
Yeah.
But, again, Tonali's ban was a shocker. Then losing players left and right to injuries that, they looked innocuous at the time, but then all of a sudden, you're out for 6 months. No one expected, Dan Burn to crack a vertebra or something like that, or Elliot Anderson for that matter.
Yeah.
I don't want. I will reserve admonishment for young Harvey Barnes, and calling him the metatarsal Marcelino. I mean, that looked like a very innocuous, injury against Sheffield United. We expected him to be out for, a week or two. It was some kind of foot injury or something like that. We didn't expect him to be out for 4 months, and I've said this now, this is the 5th episode, and I've said this all 5 episodes. We're not talking about the injuries as excuses. We're talking about the injuries as fact. That, at any one time, has any other club in the league had to deal with 11 first team injuries plus a player banned for the rest of the season, plus, I just, Did anybody see the FA Cup run all being away games? There's
Yeah.
all kinds of
Yeah.
factors that play
Yeah.
into this. Our home form suffered because of the injuries. I'm like Davy. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled
yeah.
to be where we are. I'm
Yeah.
thrilled to have the owners that we do. I'm thrilled to see Mandy and Merdad and Jamie in the directors' seats at every match. Will it be nice to win a trophy sometime? Sure. I've been supporting the team for 30 years. Davy's been supported for longer than that.
Yeah.
At this point, we're in the Premier League. We're mid-table. It's better than we've been the last 6-7 years.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah.
And for us, the only way to go is up. I don't
Yeah.
see us suffering like we've suffered this year next season. I don't see us sliding down the table and getting near relegation spots. And the prudency that's being afforded us by our ownership group in trying to maintain the FFP regulations and the PNR or PNS regulations, all of those things, we're not going to see things like the Everton points deduction or the Forest points deduction, or maybe one day we'll see Man City actually get a points deduction for all of their charges.
I said
I look at all of those things.
I
Yeah.
heard the Man City hearings actually being announced to take place in May 2135.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say conveniently after the season's over, but
Yeah,
2135 sounds about right. You just add on a year for every
111 years
every
from
charge.
now. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
It's kind of good that there's a little focus on that right now. I saw where Leicester City is getting a breach of PSR. They're come under fire, and it's like, come on, guys, what's going on?
It just goes back to, once again, solidifying that top six. We've got ours, you can't have yours kind of business, and it's just, and that's not pissing and moaning either. That's how it looks. Anybody who's a fan of any of the other 14 sees the same shit. We're all seeing it.
Yeah.
It not
just
call the
doesn't.
others prawn sandwich brigade, but hey.
No, it just doesn't seem to be a level playing field. I mean, to me, it's like they've lifted the rungs of the ladder up behind them, and they're preventing anybody from joining them.
100%.
Even teams in the lower leagues, it affects them in a similar way, because I mean, let's take like Sunderland, for example, when they were taken over. If their owner decided that he wanted to spend money and build the team, he couldn't, because they were in what was the equivalent of the third division for a number of years. Their revenue was practically zero. Probably still better than ours under Ashley, but they're not allowed to spend any money as well, and it's not good for any side like that at any level. They're basically prevented from trying to improve in any way because of these restrictions, and these restrictions only seem to be affecting the teams below those that have the historic high revenues, where they can continue on. I mean, you can look at Chelsea in a different way and say they are clever with some of the things that they do, where they have sometimes between 35 and 40 players out on loan, players that you've never heard of, young kids. They sell them on. You don't really hear about it. They sell them on, and it's pure profit every year. That's how they can afford to do, some of what they do. But getting back to it just doesn't seem fair. The injuries, though, the way that the injuries have gone, it's almost as if you're kind of thinking, hang on, is somebody pulling the strings here in terms of the injuries that we've been getting?
It's crazy.
I mean, like Harvey Barnes, for example, people were saying, they've never seen a metatarsal injury that lasted as long as it was. Problem is it wasn't a metatarsal injury. It was I think it's called a cuneiform bone. It's slightly further up. So if you look at, like, I'm trying to think of where my hand is. If they are your toes, your metatarsals, it's this bit further up.
Yeah.
And apparently that injury that he had, there was a possibility, I read, that he may not come back from it at all. That historically there have been people who have never been able to recover from that type of injury. So he's done well to come back. I mean, I was talking about, obviously the new one now is Botman.
Yeah.
But is it a new one? Is it an old one?
Mm.
Now, I heard when he was out with an ACL earlier on the season, obviously it's not been totally fixed because he came back quite early from it. Yep. And there's different people have been saying different things, but he came out himself and he didn't want to have an operation. And I for one, I was thinking, you know, who are the physios? What are they doing? You know, you know, what on earth is going on with all of these injuries? And it's not just the injuries, it's the recovery time. It's the fact that players have come back and then immediately been injured again, you know, like some Murphy and things like that, the way that it's gone. And is it unfortunate or is it the way they've been handled? But with Botman, what I heard was he didn't want to have the operation. He wanted to come back sooner. I might be wrong, but this is what I've heard.
Yeah.
And you've got to think about it. He went to see specialists, and between him and the specialists, they come back and basically didn't want an operation, and they said, you know, it might be able to be managed. So at the end of the day, what I thought about, it's like, it's his knee. It's kind of, is it his decision? But then, is it because it's Newcastle United he's playing for? It, yeah, exactly. You've got insurance, you've got, you know, his employers. Do they want a chance of a long-term injury? So who agreed one way or the other? Was it him just saying, no, I want to come back without having the operation? And apparently it's a slightly different ACL problem on the same knee. Right. So, but it just seems, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a specialist, I'm not medical in any way. The only reason I know about lots of injuries is because I've had many of them myself.
Yeah. Right.
You know, including an ACL. But the fact that he's had there's a possibility that he had two separate and different ACL injuries almost at the same time. We don't know what's going on, really, you know.
And we'll all agree that he hasn't been the same player since he came back.
Oh, definitely not.
No,
he's not still the Rolls Royce that we saw last season.
Yeah, I mean, he's still been good, but he hasn't been quite as good, you know. I think
he hasn't been as tough as we saw him. I mean, last year he was going into tackles wholeheartedly, and he's seemed hesitant since he came back from injury. It's almost as if he goes in too hard, he could injure himself worse.
Yeah,
and maybe
so it's kind of like it's been hanging above his head the whole time.
Yeah, maybe a half step slow too.
Yeah,
a lot of people missed what happened in the Man City game, but there was one moment where Shea came. He had to come out towards the right-hand side, and the way the ball came, Haaland basically ghosted in behind. It wasn't Shea's fault, but he ghosted in behind, and he got the ball on the edge of the 6-yard line, to the right of the goal. Botman came and basically blocked his shot, but he seemed to overstretch. And whether he twisted his ankle as he slightly overstretched as well, that's a possibility. But that was the moment. Now Haaland went off. I forget what minute Haaland went off. And he was down on the ground. He got up, and the referee was saying, "Do you need treatment?" And he basically said no. And he played on. Mm-hmm. But then you think, he's played on. He's already got an injury. What's he doing? You know, it just doesn't seem right, you know. But
so
It is
It
where
seems
it
like-
is. It is where it is. We can't really do anything about it.
You know,
I
there's been. Yeah, I know that we all got frustrated with the injuries, and then we started like, this is unbelievable. You know,
Yeah.
halfway through the year, I'm laying in bed one night, and I'm like, who got hung in the gallows that's come back to haunt this team? I mean,
Oh, lots
it's-
of people did. Lots of
it's-
people did. That's why it's called Gallagher.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
do we need to have an exorcism? You know, just it's
It's-
been one of those things. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. It just it feels like this season, like everything is conspired against it. But the fact that people are saying that the season's over, it's not.
No.
We're still close enough to fight for to get into a European place.
Yeah.
The only thing is I've thought about it. I've talked about it with a few other people. Yeah, we want to be in Europe, but I'm kind of there's a small part of me's thinking, will we be better off next season if we're not in Europe at all?
Yeah.
And kind of start from scratch,
Solidify.
think
getting
that's-
some new players in, and
Yeah. That's a
we're
good-
already
that's a good point.
yeah.
Because you go through a couple of windows where you keep getting a little bit better at each position, hopefully.
But will it affect the players that will want to come? The fact that we might not be in Europe.
That we can't.
But then
be, right.
But then you look at Chelsea. You look at they've still attracted players, and they're not in Europe. So,
But everybody wants to be at a Chelsea, and again, it's a London club,
a London thing,
London's
yeah,
more,
yeah.
yeah. Being down in the smoke is better than being in the Northeast. No.
Nah.
Once you come up there, you know what you're getting into. I mean,
Yeah,
that's how those of us who have been there have all fallen in love with it. I also look at at what point does Chelsea get lambasted for FFP? They're not gonna, because of the way they structured their deals, 8-year contracts and such.
Yeah,
And that's why we're starting to see rule changes where they can't offer 8-year contracts. It's like you said, it feels like every time you go up a rung, they've taken 6 or 7 out, and you're not allowed to climb any higher. You've got
we
as far
were
as
looking
you could go.
we were looking to do a deal like that, and they changed the rules to stop us from
Yeah.
doing it. And you're like, hang on, they've just done about 3 like that, and I know.
And they want to get in the middle of your negotiation for commercial contracts too, So yeah, it's kind of bad. So anyway, this kind of leads into the next thing. Just all the horrible situations we found ourselves in this year. It put a lot of pressure on Eddie, and I think, to be honest, it's quite unfair. But I just want to hear what you guys have to think about on that.
Do you want to go first, Don?
I was going to say, let's look at the managers that we've had since Dalglish. But just for fun, let's look at all of those managers. Let's put every single one of them in the same position that Eddie Howe's been in this season, and which ones are going to moan, which ones are going to bitch, which are the ones that are going to piss and moan about not having any money to spend. How many? All of that. You haven't heard that from Eddie. You've said, look, we haven't gotten the results that we've wanted, but we're working hard on it. The only 2 managers I can think of that may have reacted the same way that Eddie Howe has is Glenn Roeder. I mean, there was a guy that he just went on about the job, and I'm trying to think, Chris Hughton probably,
Bobby Robson.
I don't.
Well. Yeah.
Well, yeah, certainly Bobby. Sorry, how did I forget him? But I was trying to put the Fat Sams out of my head. I was trying to put the Graham Souness's out of my head, Ruud Gullit out of my head. I was trying to get all of those guys out of my head because of the first ones that would piss and moan about not having this, not having that.
Yeah.
We haven't seen Eddie Howe do that.
Yeah.
And then you start hearing the clickbait articles, where he's absolutely terrorizing the guys in training. He's barracking them from one end of the training pitch to the other because you're not doing it the way I want to do it and everything. Well, it's not Steve Bruce, is it? It's let's get on with it. we're professionals. Let's move on. I've said the last 3 episodes, our guys are knackered. They're just, they're absolutely done in. And like Davey said earlier, you could have the same 13, 14 guys in the squad who are expected to play day in, day out on every game day. At the same time, those miles are going to catch up to you, and and you're going to get your strains. You're going to get your bumps and bruises. You know, look at Miggy Almiron. Miggy Almiron last year was sensational. You know, he's not had a terrific year. Same thing. Jamal Lascelles last year, not so good. This year, he's been a world beater when we've seen it. So, you know, I'm with Davey. While it would be nice to be in Europe, even if it's the Conference League or whatever they call it nowadays, even if we got up there, there would be, you know, a little bit of a carrot for incoming players. At the same time, I honestly believe any prospective signing is going to come into our club. They're going to see the attitudes of your Merdads and your Mandas and your Jamies and your Eddies. They're going to get excited about the project. They'll want to be part of it. Let's be honest. There's a little bit of their pay wedge is also going to be a little bit amplified from what they're used to, because we can afford that, but we're also not, you know, not too much so that we don't fall foul of any regulations as well. So my feelings are Eddie is doing the best he can with what he's got. He's got the full backing of the board, you know, other than Dan Ashworth, who apparently wanted to leave. And let's be honest, I would say 93% of the fans are 100% behind Eddie Howe. There's going to be that small segment who are all like, nah, let's get him out. Let's get Jose in. No, I don't want it. I don't want to see it. I go back again. How long did it take Sir Alex to make Manchester United a dynasty?
Yeah.
The modern football game has not afforded managers that amount of flexibility. I believe Eddie Howe has shown us in the last 2 seasons he's earned it, and I believe our board is in the position to back him with it.
Yeah, you know, look at the turmoil of Chelsea when they ran through what 5 managers in the last year and a half, 2 years, something like that. I mean, it doesn't make sense, and it really amplifies the disruption. We have enough disruption. I'm surprised Eddie didn't blow a gasket at some point, because you know he's had all kinds of meetings about the injuries. He's had probably fights with Ashworth about who we should get and who fits into the team better for his style. And I'm just surprised he's still kept the professional edge. So I'm happy. I don't see anybody could have done any better. And that includes all the managers in the Premier League. You know, all the things that were thrown at him this year, I'd stick with the guy.
There's the thing that I'm going to focus on in terms of it. There's 2 things I wanted to mention.
Sure.
If you look at the lineup against Man City in the last game, you've got Dubravka, Murphy, Lascelles, Shea, Longstaff, and Willock. 6 players out of 11 who were all there.
Yeah.
Under Mike Ashley. Do you know what I mean? There's only 5 starters there. Gordon, Isak, Bruno, Botman, and Byrne. So you've got players there, and then on your bench you've got Miggy, you've got Richie, you've got
Dummett,
and Anderson, and do you know what I mean? You've got players that have been there for a while, but like the Kraft and things like that. The difference is you look at those players a couple of years ago, the majority of them, a lot of fans wanted out of the club because they were just saying they weren't good enough. He's turned those players round, and he hasn't been able to build the squad. I mean, you also look at 2 of the players that we've missed. hugely. Again, there's Callum Wilson and of course Joelinton, you know. But they were players that were there before he came in. He's transformed. You know, Wilson always had that same quality, but he's transformed Joelinton as well. You've got to look at those sides of things, you know, and he's come up with this game plan, and what he did last season was amazing. And even, you know, even if we end up 12th, 13th this season, if we have, you know, if we fall back, we haven't got Botman, we don't know what's going to happen. You know, if we get another injury in the centre defence and we end up, you know, we're playing Kraft and Dummett. Emil Kraft's looked really good to me. And, you know, he looks great when he comes on. You know, and Lascelles has looked a lot better than he used to be. You know, they look fitter, they look stronger, they look hungrier, they look more interested in actually playing for the club, and you know, they want to be there. And that all comes from the manager, as opposed to the last guy who we've just heard didn't even want to turn in.
Yeah, right.
No, and that is going to seep right the way through to the players, where the players will be thinking, what on earth are we doing here with this joke of a manager? You know, that's the difference, and that's what people forget. Now, even if we finished in the bottom half this season, I think Eddie's got, as they say, enough in the bank to, you know, to warrant starting as the manager for next season. People are saying, "Oh, we'll only get like 6-7 games and see how we go." You cannot make decisions like that.
Yeah,
you've got to look. You've got to look at, like, he has brought forward. Now, I'm going to say something that might be a little bit controversial. Is Eddie Howe tactically the manager to take us right to the top? Because there are fans here now. Some have only been, you know, with the club the last 2 years. Some, like yourselves, have been with the club for a long, long time. We've watched things happen over the years, you know. A lot of the loud voices, I think, are fans who have only been around recently. But is Eddie Howe tactically and manage wise, you know, when you start looking to bring bigger stars in, is he the guy that's going to take you right to that top level, or will he get to a stage where that's as far as he can go? I want you two to answer that, and then I
want to answer that. And I want to put something out there that maybe nobody's thinking of. Do you remember last year when we were rolling pretty good? You'd see all kinds of things on social media about the team out, you know, maybe running go-karts, or maybe they had a day of bowling or something. The problem this year is we've had so much difficulty that you start to lose people, you know, whether it shows or not, whether we can see it or not, you do start to lose people. Now, could I drop some superstars in that lineup last year when we were rolling good? And would we have been able to go to the top? I truly believe we could have. I truly believe it. And what we have to do is capture that magic again. And I would love to see this week that, where are they off training right now? You know,
I assume they're in Dubai again.
That would be my
thought, or Saudi.
I don't know, but there will be.
I would love to see
them.
Yeah, take a day and just, like, it's a screw it day. Screw it. We're gonna have a light kickabout, and then we're going bowling, or we're doing something. You know, just to start getting back. You know, to, you know, getting the right atmosphere around the guys, because, you know, there's a couple things that have been said in the press, like, we got to get rid of Callum, we got to get rid of Miggy, we got to get rid of this, and that has an effect on the players. You know, and pretty soon, you know, you're looking at all the injuries and the fact that everybody's a little down, and you go, well, what's best for my family? You know, and so people do have those thoughts, and it might be one of your stars, it might be somebody that was on the fence and just says, I can't be here anymore.
Tenali will host them all at Weatherspoons. Let's all go out for a group dinner, and you can get reservations. It's easy.
Yeah, that's right. No, it's just.
No. You're absolutely right. I mean, look at the go-kart situation in Austria last 2 years ago for preseason. Look at the spirit that was there, that unity amongst them, and they were all having a good time. I'm fully behind that thought, John.
So
when you need to go out there and blow off some steam, perhaps that's what we need to do, and we haven't been afforded that opportunity because of the number of games that we've played with the number of people that have been out. I mean, maybe they're just mentally exhausted as well, other than physically knackered. Maybe they're just at the point where it's just screw it. Like you said, let's all go play darts, or let's all just go for a swim, or something, just to do it as a group. And
go ahead, Davy.
I'm going to jump back in, because by posing the question, the assumption would normally be that I'm questioning Eddie Howe. I'm putting the question out there. But what I'm saying is nobody knows the answer to that question yet.
Right.
Nobody knows whether Eddie Howe is the man to take us there. But what I'm saying is, what I say is, he deserves the chance to see if he is that person, and he deserves a chance, because what he's done so far. There are a few little things tactically where I've been a little bit sort of like thinking, I've been saying since the end of August, the space in between the back four in the midfield, where you just have to watch one game to see how it worked against us really badly, was the Tottenham game. They absolutely destroyed us because they played in those gaps. Now, the thing is we played a system last season, and there are teams that will have seen how we play, and they'll think, we'll play this way against them. Now, the other side of it is, Nick Pope, for me, is key to the way that we play, because he's like playing with a sweeper. He's like playing with an extra defender behind you. And the defense can come that little bit higher up, which condenses that space in between them and the midfield, which means there's less space for teams to exploit, because they were happier with Pope in behind. There's lots of little factors in with this, right? And I think that also ties in with the tactical changes. Now, there are little bits and bobs of stuff where I've thought, just little tweaks here and there might have made a difference. And he has made those tweaks, like against Wolves, for example. The gap between the midfield and the back four, we didn't go to, when Wolves had the ball, we didn't immediately go to 4-5-1. We went to 4-3, and then the 2 was slightly ahead, and then a 1. But there was hardly any gap between the midfield and the defense, and it made a hell of a difference. Now, you mentioned about tactics and changing to this other 5 at the back.
Yeah.
And I'm going to segue into that, if that's okay, Jack.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just looking at my watch, and we need to.
Yeah.
Because I do want to talk about our trip too.
Because I think at times there are tweaks needed to be made. Yeah. The thing is the way that going to that 5 at the back is a definite change. Because when we play 4-3-3, it's very fluid. It's not rigid. It's very, very fluid, and we end up at times with, Dan Burn allows a lot of what happens when everybody's playing, when you've got Joelinton in there, even Elliot Anderson, even when it's Miley, whoever, Dan Burn comes inside into that midfield role ahead, just ahead of, he makes like a diagonal move. He allows the space for everybody else to go forward and press. Mm-hmm. And the problem is it then leaves that gap in behind, which is what teams have been exploiting. Now, I thought it was clever to change to 5 at the back against Man City.
Yeah.
Now, Man City, when we played them the first time this season at their ground, they basically packed the midfield with 8 players. They basically went 1-8-1. It was crazy. It was just, they were like almost swarming around. It was like watching football from 1870 or something, you know. They were all together, stopping anything happen. As soon as we got the ball, they were bang in numbers immediately, just straight around them. They were very different in how they played on Saturday. And I think changing to that 5 against anybody else, it would have worked. The problem with Man City, and people were saying, oh, it was tactically wrong. The problem with playing against Man City is we played 5-3-2, right? So they inverted that. When they had the ball, they played 2-3-5. So they had 5 attacking players. The extra factor with Man City is that Phil Foden doesn't sit in one position. Bernardo Silva doesn't sit in one position.
No.
There's hardly any of them. Even Doku, he doesn't sit out wide the whole time.
Right.
You've got these players who are all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
They're almost impossible to pick up. But then when they were attacking, you've got players who are moving around inside, and our 3 were very narrow because of all the movement in behind and in around them. But that allowed Bernardo Silva to kind of come a little bit deeper, pick the ball up, and then they've got the overlap from the fullback. And that's how you ended up having 2-on-1 against Burn. And then it's like, oh, hang on, Willock needs to come across and cover, but it's too late.
Yeah.
And when it happened once, you thought, right, oh, people were saying Willock was at fault. But then when the same thing happened, for the second goal, and it wasn't just for the goal, it happened a couple of other times. That's how they were directed to play. There was that 3 that were quite narrow, and that was a slight mistake. I thought instead of us being rigid in that 3, we had to be a bit more fluid and follow players and follow the space. And that for me was a mistake. They changed it in the second half. And they did in the second half what I think they should have done in the first half, but because of we were so unlucky with the 2 goals, the 2 deflections.
Oh yeah, crazy.
But
Crazy
you forget as well. I've already said we had 6 players started that game who were from the Steve Bruce era.
Yeah,
right. Playing against the best team in the world.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And the fact that we changed it. I thought the defense were magnificent. I thought they were absolutely brilliant, and we did get chances. We did get opportunities. It was just unfortunate the way it went, and it just didn't happen. But that's what happens. It's just one of those things.
You see a burn come off for Hall. You see Botman come off for Aft. You're absolutely right. I mean, you look at the players that we've got. It goes back to the question that you asked, Davey, was, is Eddie Howe capable of betting in superstars and getting the best out of them? I'm just sitting there.
I think he is. Yeah.
I absolutely. We just your answer was absolutely spot on. We don't know yet because we're still saddled with players that we know aren't the players that are going to take us forward. Jeff Hendrick is going to be gone at the end of the season, but Isaac Hayden's not, unless someone comes in for him. He's still got 2 more years on his contract at what, probably 65, 70,000 a week. Those are monies that we can't spend elsewhere because we've got those tied up. So, I absolutely believe he's got enough. He has enough credit in the bank to warrant him starting next season as our manager. We're going to get a new director of football in over the summer, and hopefully we've already got our plans drawn up, and think part of the if rumors are to be believed, the settlement that we will get from Man United for Dan Ashworth, you know, if they're willing to pay to get him out of gardening leave, you know, again, probably the best garden in England. But I'm just, you're sitting there going, he knows who we're after, so we're going to be fighting that.
Right.
We're the richest team in the world, and yet we're hamstrung with the purse strings because we can't. And it's that's the frustrating thing.
But
Eddie Howe hasn't been able to do his thing because he can't.
Yeah.
But
He's
guys,
held back. But what you can do is,
you guys out there, you can spend your money and do it at Dire Crow. Sorry for that. Sorry for that interruption.
Only in America.
That's right. That's right. Hey guys, I want to move on to my favorite subject this week. I'm coming to Newcastle, and so is Dan. And we did this last year. We had a great time, and we're looking forward to doing the same thing again. We're going to have some nice meals.
And the bubble didn't happen again.
Yeah, we're gonna have some nice meals, meet a lot of good friends, and have a lot of fun. And Davey, we're looking forward to seeing you before games, and we got to get dinner sometime. But
I've got some disappointing news as well. Since they changed the Everton game to the Tuesday, I can't go to that game.
Oh mate,
I can't make that game, so I've already given me ticket to a young lad who he's a wheelchair user that goes to a special education needs school. So he's going in my place.
Yeah.
I have him on my friends and family list. So I was absolutely furious when it was changed to the Tuesday night.
Yeah.
But I've got something else booked on that night, and it's just one of them things, you know.
Well, we'll see you.
I'll see you the other times though.
We'll make arrangements. We will make arrangements. I was disappointed they moved that game too, because I won't have time to recover before we've got another game, and I worry about the players. The same thing, you know. Those are two close games. I'm always excited when we can get over there and see two at once. You know, two with one plane ride. You know.
Yeah.
But
and if we're lucky, we'll be able to see the Lasses play at Kingston Park on Easter Sunday.
Yep.
Yeah. And is that the Sunday before? Is that the Sunday before that? I don't know when the holidays are.
Sunday before the Everton game. It's the one right after the West Ham game. Must be the 31st.
Yeah.
31st of March.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll all be dealing with 1 hour less sleep because the time change happens that Sunday morning as well.
We have to go through that twice, Dan.
I know.
We've already changed our clocks.
And then I heard also Baz had mentioned that Newcastle Benfield is playing on April Monday.
Yeah, that's a team. Yeah, that's a team that he's followed, and we're going to go support that too. And I look forward to that.
If it all falls in line, we'll have lots of football to watch. So
yeah, Crook Town.
Yeah, that's a previous
Saturday.
Yeah, that's a previous Saturday, but they're going to be close by, so we're going to go.
Crook Town's not close by, but
no, this next one's going to be close by. I think it's right off
something
near
West Allotment is what he said.
West Allotment,
yeah, it's pretty close.
He said we'd be able to get there from the metro if we wanted. So
I think so.
Up on the north side, northeast.
I don't know exactly, but it's not far away.
Yep.
No, that's good.
Good stuff. Most important thing is connecting with all of our friends on Tyneside while we're there. You know, it's you know, to see Davy and Sarah, to see Siobhan and Roger, to see, you know, Davy Boy in the pub, to see we've got so many friends from over here that we know that who are also going to be over. We're going to Simon from San Diego and Bev and Leah from Chicago and Jim from Nashville. So I mean, we're going to have a whole bunch of crazy people that we met over the summer that are also going to be on Tyneside. So this should be and maybe we'll connect with our old friend Kevin Downey or Keith Downey. Sorry.
Keith Downey, yeah, and we'll also contribute to the Newcastle Food Bank. Always
Absolutely.
get by and see Bill Corcoran and Steve and George Mitchell and some of those folks. Just contribute to the food bank, and I usually go from bucket to bucket. And I'd stop by and see Davy and Sarah, and then see Bill and contribute a little bit. It's important for me.
And visit Greg's.
Oh yeah, yeah. Get a steak bake.
Exactly.
Greg's was shut yesterday because
I heard
the tills weren't working apparently.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
They had an IT problem. It
Something
hit them
like that.
pretty hard. Yeah.
It'll be great to have you guys over here again. So looking forward to that.
Yeah,
Looking
we'll get
forward
you.
to it as much.
We'll get you for dinner or something. I promise.
We'll figure it out. Yep.
Any other
definitely.
thoughts, guys? I got about 3 or 4 minutes.
Less hopes that we're going to do a vlog of our trip. But it's my intention to do that. That was our intention to do it over the summer with me and Shade and Eddie in the car. But I know that Eddie took a whole bunch of video footage. I don't think he's had time to put it together. And let's be honest, when we weren't watching games or driving, we were drinking somewhere, and I think the camera got lost every once in a while. But I did see Eddie walking around with his GoPro on his hand stick. So I'm thinking, yeah. Thanks, Davey, Eddie. Thanks for tuning in and watching.
Cheers.
Yeah, a lot of
I just wanted to say the season's not over till it's over, and every game's worth playing. Worth playing for. It's not about whether we qualify for this or win that or whatever. Every game's enjoyable, and
100%.
Sometimes the way I look at it, you've got injuries to certain players. Maybe this is going to give a player like Emil Kraft a chance to come in. We see what he's like, starting. There might be changes in formation. Hopefully Trippier will be back, and Livramento, there's players like that as well, I think one of the big pluses is the fact that Willock is back, and Willock he comes back almost like bang, and he seems to be fully fit. And one of my mates was talking about this as well. And then he has a little dip, but then he goes straight back into full fitness again.
Yeah.
It's like, it's almost like he does too much too soon, and then he's fine. But you can see the way he carries the ball and the way that he works within the team.
Yeah.
It's just great to have him back.
He's terrific. It's just that I'm so paranoid now with him and Barnes. It's like, don't rush him back. Give him 60 minutes a game and then get him out. Just keep him healthy. Keep him healthy.
But then we find that Longstaff's been playing with an injury.
A
bad injury for a while as well, which explains his downturn in form as well. But it's not been easy. But
it's not.
We just keep enjoying going along and supporting the team and supporting the lasses when we can get to that. And just keep looking forward.
Yeah, I agree. I think too many of the fan base, at least the ones on social media, kind of obsess about the cup. When are we going to get a cup? And it's like, just let it happen. Let it happen. Okay, let it come to you.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
We'll earn it. We'll earn it. We have to do it in our way. And like the pensioner that was before the Carabao Cup last year that was on camera. He was crying. He says it's a journey, and we're just at the start of it.
Yeah, it's a long one. It's been a long one.
I'll never forget what he said there, Dan. He said, "It's in your blood. It's in your blood," and he said it really is. And he also said, "But we're here. We're here."
Yep.
So we finally got to that cup final, and I look forward to growing and just taking those steps.
Exactly.
We're at the party. We may be in the front yard waiting for admittance into the front door, but we're at the party.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
We got the invite. They just, the cool kids don't want us to come inside yet.
that's right.
So we'll hang
Well-
out here on the lawn with the other cool kids, and we'll be fine. We'll get in there.
The cooler kids are the ones who aren't in the party, though.
That's right. I remember.
Lads, good to see both of you.
Hey,
Yeah.
good to see you guys.
Great.
I'm gonna have to say goodbye. So stick around.
Thanks for having
Hey,
me.
thanks for staying up late with us.
No,
Thank you.
that's
See you
fine.
We'll see you soon.
Anytime.
Take care, everybody.